Welcome to the Magma Open Source Solutions Virtual Roundtable. During today's event, we're going to share how the Magma Core Foundation is working with Facebook connectivity to deliver Magma, the open source core solution for modern wireless networks. I'm Phil Ritter, Magma Ecosystem Manager at the Magma Core Foundation.
Hi, and a very warm welcome from me too on this lovely morning, afternoon, evening, or maybe in the darkness in the middle of the night, depending on where you're joining us from today. My name is Ildiko Vancha. I work as Senior Manager of Community and Ecosystem at the Open Infrastructure Foundation. And together with Phil, we will be your hosts for today's event.
We wanted to kick off today with a brief intro about who Facebook connectivity is. Facebook connectivity, now known as meta connectivity. Connectivity is more important than ever before. Facebook connectivity works across the entire telecom ecosystem, from internet service providers, mobile operators, satellite operators, equipment manufacturers, policymakers, and financial institutions, and more. Together with these partners, Facebook works around the world to deliver the adoption of abundant, affordable, and high-quality internet access for all people. In order to advance the mission to connect more people to a better internet, Facebook Connectivity developed an open source, market-leading enhanced packet core to bring the most advanced technology at the lowest total cost of ownership to network operators, ISPs, and enterprises that need to launch mobile broadband services. Magma is an open source software platform that provides the core functions of a wireless network. It's been developed using modern software principles modeled on software defined networks and taking cues from the design of hyperscale systems like Facebook itself. It's a lightweight, modular, and is designed to scale. As an open source platform, there are no license fees or other costs to use the software. Couple this with the lightweight hardware required to run Magma, and it allows for a dramatic reduction in the total cost of ownership of a wireless network.
Doubling down on what Phil just said about connectivity, and how important it is, I just would like to take it a step further and really emphasize on how much our lives is dependent on connectivity. And because of that, I think me for sure, and most probably most of you who are watching us currently live, we just tend to take it for granted. Like, I have this tiny little mobile device and I'm trying to be kind of a more of an old-fashioned person and just set it aside and put it away as much as possible. But whatever I do, this tiny little thing tends to control, and sometimes I swear it tries to ruin my life. Whenever it is not connected to Wi-Fi or any kind of a data network, I kind of feel lost. And sometimes quite literally, because even the map is not loading on the device. And if I'm at an area that I don't know, then I don't know where to go, how to get out of there that easily. And also just thinking about these things, like, we are depending on connectivity for work. I couldn't do my work without, again, Wi-Fi and data networks. And then to take it to more back to the personal life, I can't even access my hard-earned money. It's just a few digits on the display of that mobile phone on my laptop that I'm staring at right now. I couldn't even talk to you without connectivity in this exact moment. This is how much we rely on it. And with the rise of edge computing, 5G, the technology evolution will just connect more and more devices. And yet, there are a lot of places around the globe where connectivity is not a given, it is a luxury or maybe just a dream or a desire. And I don't even have to go far. I mean, right now I do, but if I visit my mom in Hungary on her farm, when there's like 3 drops of rain outside, the connectivity goes away, the coverage goes away, and I just earn a few hours or I don't know, sometimes days of vacation because there is no coverage at the place where she lives. And she really does not live that far from the city that's kind of almost next to her house. So this kind of shows how connectivity and increasing coverage around the globe is not easy. You have to be able to take the wire there, the radio antennas, and sometimes the areas are just hard to build out the infrastructure, or maybe it's just too expensive. So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to increasing coverage around the globe, and providing connectivity to really everyone out there. And this is where Magma is coming into the picture, and this is why Magma came into life. And the mission and goal of connecting the next billion really reaches its meaning if you think about the rural areas in the US, Europe, developing countries all around the globe. And I don't know, maybe one day we will connect the moon and Mars and other planets as well. And to think about it from a bit of an other aspect that Phil also mentioned earlier, Magma is not just a software package, it is also an open source community that kind of gives connectivity another meaning, if you will, because everyone can come and participate in this community and help build out and enhance the software so it can power mobile networks all around the globe, extend that coverage, and give opportunity for new operators and non-traditional operators as well to enter the market and build out infrastructure where they need it and where people are in the need. And the nice thing about this open source community is that these operators and really anyone around the globe can join to give feedback and help to enhance the software.
Thanks, Ildiko. Speaking of the community, earlier this year, Facebook Connectivity contributed Magma to the Magma Core Foundation. Magma Core Foundation is an independent foundation that exists to develop and promote Magma to bring connectivity to the unconnected. Magma Core Foundation operates as a directed fund of the Linux Foundation with independent governance and control. Facebook Connectivity remains a founding and platinum level member of the Magma Core Foundation.
And with that, I think we arrived to just a few more housekeeping items to describe the event to you that we are having today. We only have 2 hours, but we have a lot of amazing content for you to get through. So we have 2 main segments of the event today. We will be starting with panel discussions where we brought in industry experts to talk about Magma, how they are working with it, how they are taking Magma to market, how they are deploying the software. And you can also learn a bit more about use cases like 5G and the edge computing areas, as well as the importance of open source software development in this space. And then the second panel will really dive into actual commercial deployments of Magma.
Following these 2 panel discussions, we'll have a pair of Meet the Experts breakout sessions where you can interact with some of the key players in the Magma community. The first breakout is tailored for those interested in deployments of Magma in private networks. The alternate track is more technically focused for developers and those interested in the inner workings of Magma's software itself.
And now, without further ado, let's welcome our next first panel that is led by Michel Castaldelli, and he will talk to panelists from AWS, Red Tonics, and Wave Labs.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this roundtable here to talk about Magma. I'm Michel Castaldelli from Facebook, and we're going to discuss a little bit of Magma use cases and what folks in the ecosystem are doing in terms of tools and solutions for allowing simpler, faster, and much more cost-effective Magma deployments for a variety of use cases. I have here with me a great team of folks who are Magma partners, and they've been working with us for some time. I'll let them introduce themselves. Let's start with Nitz. Please introduce yourself, Nitz.
Hi, my name is Nitch Jagannathan, and I'm a senior product manager in the Snow Services team, focusing on edge computing and telco vertical.
Thank you, Nitz. Let's move now to Kadir.
First, I wanted to welcome you for joining us today and thank you for your time. My name is Kadir Khan, SVP and Head of Connectivity and Industry 4.0 at Wave Labs. I'm responsible for global strategy, business, partnership, and engineering at Wave Labs. The Magma open source is center of all of our strategy, and we are deeply committed to advance and grow the Magma ecosystem and grow along with it. Happy to be here today and looking forward to learn and share.
Thank you, Kadir. It's a pleasure to have you here as well. Let me hand it over to Patrick now to do your introduction.
Thanks, Michel. My name is Patrick Lind. I'm co-founder and group CEO of Radtonics. Radtonics is active in LG, 5G, and Edge Cloud, where we provide end-to-end solutions to our customers.
Thank you, Patrick. Welcome to all of you guys. It's exciting to have you all here. I mean, as you know, Facebook is working on Magma for some time, right? And Facebook connectivity itself, we have a mission to get more people connected to a better internet, which is a mission that all of our organizations share as well. And we all believe that this benefits our business and it benefits society. So it's truly a win-win-win-win. Right, so let's start by talking a little bit about what is the Magma value proposition for your companies, right? So let's start with Amazon Web Services. Nitz, how do you guys see the role of Magma on the Snow family of devices in supporting private network deployments?
Thanks, Michelle. We've been working together with Magma Foundation and Facebook connectivity for over a year now, and we are super excited to be part of this particular alliance. And essentially, as a customer obsessed company, we go where our customers take us. And a lot of customer feedback we are getting is essentially customers don't want to be tied to one particular tech stack, and they want to be flexible with respect to their 4G, 5G, and in private deployments where essentially it could be mining, it could be in a rural area where there is not connectivity. And Magma is perfect for that, where it's open source, it allows flexibility, and especially with Snow devices able to operate in a disconnected environment, customers can take Magma Snow joint work into remote locations where there is no connectivity before. Now they can operate it with very low overhead, much lower operational cost on a monthly cadence. So our customers love this solution, and we are super excited to partner and see where this engagement takes us in the future.
Thank you, Nitz. That does sound very exciting. I do agree that Snow family devices will be an amazing driver of value for the Magma ecosystem, right? People can buy into a solution that's fully tested and working, and it's going to reduce the TCO a lot. So yeah, it's exciting to partner with you. Kadir, let me ask you about Wave Labs now. I understand that you guys are also working on a lot of Magma 5G components. Can you comment a little bit on what is coming from you guys and how the overall Magma ecosystem can benefit from it?
We are privileged to contribute and advance Magma ecosystem to benefit and succeed with 5G opportunities. There's a number of things that we are doing. It's a long list. I'll try to brief it as much as that I can. On the development front, most of the basic 3GPP procedures we have implemented, and most of the code bases are available in the GitHub master branch. In Q4 2021, we are adding additional procedures related to QoS, subscriber management, and some on multi-session support. We are also planning to start working on network slicing related components and features. And also we have a free Magma orchestrator in AWS. We invite community to come and learn and experiment with it. And finally, we also co-host with Linux Foundation and Magma Core Foundation 5G monthly Magma meeting. And the reason for that meeting is to really enable community engagement, collaboration, and provide updates on awesome things that is happening around Magma for 5G. I mean, it's a great opportunity for us. 5G, again, it's wonderful opportunity for us. And I really like to invite individuals and like companies to join our journey, and together we can make Magma for 5G a great success.
Thanks, Kader. Yes, that sounds pretty exciting as well. And I mean, I totally see a synergy between what Nitz was talking about and you as well. Like 5G is going to be a big part of what consumers and companies are going to expect out of Magma, right? And like a lot of private networks are going to rely on 5G components like what Wavelabs is providing on the Snow family of devices. That will be a pretty powerful combination as well. And talking about powerful combinations as well, let me ask Patrick now a little bit about what Redtonics is doing. Like, I understand that you guys at Redtonics are working on like a Magma distro that you branding by yourselves, right? How will that work? And what are the benefits that you see this is bringing to the Redtonics customers, Patrick?
Yes, that is very true. We are working on that. And I mean, just like the previous speakers, I mean, we're super excited about Magma and the chance that Magma has to disrupt the ecosystem. If you're looking at it from a customer perspective, you're needing three more things in order to really provide the end-to-end solution for them. I mean, there needs to be someone, and in our case, it's Redtonics then, that takes the Magma software and makes certain that it works well together with the radio, together with the hardware in the specific network context for the customer. The second thing is that they often require more things around the system, a solution. And then we are there to help them with that. And as third point, but not least, what they also want to have is someone that gives 24/7 support. Someone they can call, someone that actually comes in, and if there is a challenge, if there is some sort of need to do something, then we're there to help them with that 24/7. And that is what we guarantee with our distribution.
Nitz, when you were talking about a little bit of the Snow family devices, right, and the offer that we are doing together, right, on Magma on the Snow family, right? What do you think are the advantages that AWS customers would get in using Magma on Snow in the light of what you heard from Patrick and Kadir here of everything that they are doing together?
That's a great question, Michelle. So from Snow's point of view and AWS point of view overall, right? Like our intention and goal is really to like make it seamless for the customer to deploy their private mobile network. So we want to make it simpler for the customer to be able to take our device, have our Magma core on it, and deploy it into their location as easy as possible. I think that's the exciting opportunity for us, is that our tight integration between our 4G, 5G cores and the Snow device, we are solving customers' pain point of making it as turnkey as possible. Now we work with partners and to add like radio components and other elements. Now we are trying to make it as seamless as it is to take our solution and deploy it instead of weeks to set up a private network. We want to like move it to like days, if not hours. Essentially, I think that is our goal, and our engagement for the last year is essentially been trying to package it as nicely as we can to a point where it is like zero touch mobile network. That's our intentional goal, and we are on that path. And as we work closely with Magma, we are fine tuning our solution from the hardware and systems perspective from AWS side, and from like performance tuning, to make sure that we are able to deliver a compelling solution for our customers that is easy to operate and also like to maintain over a long period of time.
Yes, interesting. I understand as well, Nitz, that like even though Amazon can provide like a very broad array of services and everything, right? You guys would also be welcoming working with like companies that can act as prime system integrators towards projects, right? And in that space, I know that Wave Labs, for example, is building a practice around that, right? Very focused on Industry 4.0 and everything. So, Kadir, can you comment a little bit on that? Like, how do you guys see this common offer, right, that we are all creating together here? And what is the value proposition for Wave Labs in regards to Magma and in light of what we were discussing here, right? Like the solution that AWS is offering and the distro, for example, that Red Tonics is also creating. Can you comment a little bit on that?
So definitely, Michelle. I mean, next we are using AWS to host Magma Orchestrator, by the way, right? So the best way to answer your question, Michelle, is to share the experiences that we have with two key types of customers, right? I bucket it into two types, right? The first type of customer is the greenfield customers. Most of the time, these customers, what they need is an ease of use solution and fully packaged solution, right? So we do have a starter kit to really help them, and some of the system integrators, end-to-end system integrators, as well as the service providers that we are already working on few opportunities. And the second type of customer is the brownfield customers. I mean, in this case, they expect a white box solution, right? They don't want a packaged solution, and they also need help from us with respect to the integration with their existing hardware, software, legacy systems, and other new systems that they have. And most of the time, they expect us to reuse, add, and expand what they have rather than bringing in as a new boxes. And in this type of customer engagement, most of the time, Michelle, I mean, it goes case by case, right? The same standard package doesn't fit all. It requires a lot of customization. So that's my first answer to your question with respect to the different types of customers and how we are adding the value to them. And I'm going to answer the second question of yours, which is the value proposition of Wave Labs from Magma point of view. If you think about it, if you when you talk about value proposition, you should always think about from the customer point of view, right? So what do they really expect from the open source? That's very, very important. They expect diversity, right? The ability to address multitude of use cases. They expect innovation, ability to solve multitude of challenges that is not possible otherwise. And they also expect scale from the open source, right? From product performance to features, and also from the customer acquisition point of view. I mean, you can't really help the customers. You can have products and solutions, but if you can't really help the customers, if you are not heavily involved and deeply committed within the Magma ecosystem and know bits and bytes of Magma ecosystem, our value proposition to our customers, in addition to offering the support services and professional services and distro, is the depth of know-how we have in Magma open source and the flexibility we offer to our customers to realize their use cases and business outcomes. Hope it makes sense, Michelle, to you.
It totally makes sense. I mean, I think you're spot on, Peter. Like, that's the power of open source, right? And it introduces the challenge that you mentioned, right? Like, how to ensure that all of these components are working together, right? I mean, coming from the telco industry myself, for example, I know the importance of RAN. Patrick, can you comment a little bit on like, does Red Tonics intend to perform interoperability testing between different RAN components, different OSS, BSS components against your distro, and like in light of everything that we discussed so far?
No, that is spot on. I mean, it's absolutely one of the key values. Just like Kadir was saying previously here, it's all about helping the customers. It's all about getting them solution that works. And then, of course, interoperability towards radio vendors, towards OSS, towards BSS, or towards application or edge cloud. I mean, to get the full solution to work for the customers in an outcome-based way, that's the key value that we can do in addition to what is being delivered from the Magma community. So yes, it's very, very important.
Thank you, Patrick. Nils, would you like to comment on that as well? Interoperability?
Yeah, I think definitely like, what Patrick and Kadir are saying is actually like, what we are hearing from our customers, right? Like, there is one element, which is the technical solution, which is like the device, the core, but then there is the actual element of like the radios that what you need to go get the optimal, like throughput for your environment. And that is one side, but then the operational side, you need someone to be able to like handle this on an end-to-end basis, operate it over a long period of time, support the customer when there is an issue or outage, or optimize or fine tune for a specific location. Those are the operational pain points. So we need, like partners like from Kadir as well as like Patrick's team to help us as to scale to larger volume across the globe, right? Now we are not talking just purely like one particular vertical. We are talking multiple geographies, multiple verticals along here. And Magma being open source is the key here that allows us to scale across multiple verticals and geographies. Because now it allows flexibility, as Kadir pointed out. Customers have the flexibility of picking different options here, which suits their geographical and throughput needs. And that's why we are super excited about Magma.
I mean, Michelle, if you think about adding to what Nitz is saying, right? If you think about 5G, in addition to the verticals and industries, the number of plethora of use cases that it can solve. I mean, it's an opportunity for all of us, right? And again, thinking about edge computing, right? And Magma is designed ground up for edge computing. To place it in the edge and doing the offload and things like that, and it rightly fits into the customer solution architecture. I mean, to me, we are very much interested in contributing and advancing the Magma 5G communities mainly because of Magma's ability being at edge and fitting right into the architecture for all these advanced features, whether it is a mission critical or business critical use cases. It fits right into it, right? That's the key advantage that I feel from my point of view, Michelle.
Yes. Thank you for that, Kadir. Like, I agree with you. I think 5G is key for the evolution of all of this. And like, I think as you correctly pointed out, right? I mean, it's going to enable a lot of different use cases, and it's going to also allow for a little bit of a transition, right? Where smaller service providers and enterprises, they're all going to be looking into, okay, how can we play a little bit of a role of a service provider, right? Like, and that's from someone who doesn't have all the expertise that like a traditionally well-established operator has in the market, right? So they will be counting on solutions that are pre-packaged, work properly, scale well, and that's pretty much what all of our companies are creating, right? With no family of devices from AWS, with the 5G initiatives from Wave Labs. And now I'll ask Patrick to comment a little bit as well on like, Patrick, how important is 5G for your customers? And what can you tell us about Red Tonic's ambitions for 5G as well?
If you're looking at our customers today, they are mainly within the LTE space. But if you're looking at our discussions that we're having, and also where we believe the future market is, it's 5G. I mean, 5G and 8 edge is an unbeatable combination, so to say. And we have a chance to provide solutions here that are disrupting what has been delivered before, so to say. So 5G is extremely important for us going forward. We're also today discussing with several customers the solutions to put in place, so to say. But that said, currently we are mainly delivering LTE-based solution as of today. But yeah, the discussions are there, and soon we will be moving forward.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, we are almost running out of time, but I think we have enough time to do like a very quick round of questions from one panelist to another. If you guys are okay with that, let's start with you, Nitz. Do you have any questions that we would like to ask Red Tonics or Facebook or Wave Labs?
Yeah, so I have a two-pronged question. So the first one is like, which customer verticals or customer use cases are exciting to you the most? And the second part to that is that like, what do you see as the main hurdles that we need to overcome as a group together to be able to succeed in meeting our customer needs?
That's a great question, Nitz. Which industry vertical that we at Wave Labs are interested in? I mean, if you look at the immediate opportunities, it's fixed wireless access, right? That's the immediate opportunity. And when you look at near-term and long-term opportunity, then it is private wireless. So we have been engaged with a couple of interesting customer opportunities. One is with a customer who wants to have the core network that can manage their satellite access. So typically, they use the satellite for global data transfer and broadband and things like that. In this case, they wanted to evolve their offering to support connectivity globally and also seamless roaming with the local operator when the IoT device is kind of moving around. Say an example, a truck moving around globally carrying things, right? So I mean, this is one of the interesting area that we are putting a lot of efforts into, right? How do you use IoT with satellite? And the second interesting area for us is on the factory floor, right? I mean, there where the latency is and the jitter is very expectation is very high, and we are talking to some of our customers. There are some of the unique use cases like mobile robots, motion control that requires the Magma core to really take care of the latency requirements, so the robots can actually go and put the parts in the right place, right? So to us, these are the couple of areas that very exciting that we are putting our efforts in the into that.
Patrick, what about for you guys at Redtonics? Is there any particular industry you're interested?
I think I can agree to what Kader is saying there. But so then let's take to answer the second question instead on coming from NITS. Then I mean, what can we do? And I mean, the fantastic thing with open source is that it can disrupt industries, but the speed of that disruption is proportional to the adoption. So I think the key thing for us is to get as many as possible to adopt as quickly as possible into this open source community. And there I think we should focus a lot. And that's why I'm very grateful for this event, which is sort of one thing in that direction. But the more we can do to create the adoption, the faster the disruption will happen. So I think that is a fundamental thing that we need to work together and really think hard about how we can speed it up even more.
I just wanted to add on that, Michelle. We all have to put skin in the game. If I have to say it in one single word, right? We all as a community have to put skin in the game to make sure the community advances and we grow with it. That's my comment.
I couldn't agree more. That said, yeah, go ahead, Nils.
Yeah, I agree with what Kader and Patrick said. Like the use cases, Kader, I think we are hearing from our customers similar use cases as you are talking about, especially like 5G and edge computing space, essentially, that seems to be an exciting opportunity for us to, scale Magma with AWS in general.
Like Patrick said, 5G edge is the deadly combination, right? And Magma fits right into that architecture.
That seems to be a very a common question that we all have. I can give you guys Facebook's stance on that as well, right? I mean, obviously, when we started Magma, we are a social networking company, right? So we are interested in the social connection between people, right? So our interest laid on getting people connected, right? And we quickly realized, though, that in order to have a healthy ecosystem around a solution like Magma, I mean, the points that you guys are emphasizing, right, around industry, about sensors, about connecting machines as well. Machines are also expecting some sort of social network of their own. So that was part of the decision actually to hand over Magma to the Linux Foundation, right? And now there's a neutral governance body, and this can drive the product in other areas that, even though it's not a primary area that Facebook is interested, we see them as essential for the ecosystem to be healthy, right? So we will put our support in ensuring that happens as well. And now with the Linux Foundation, we are even more certain that it will happen regardless of Facebook, right? Even though we intend to contribute, as I said, we feel that it gives the opportunity for more people to contribute to and for the product to take a life of its own. Okay, fantastic. Hey, I would like to really thank you guys. Really thank you, Kader. Really thank you, Nitz. Really thank you, Patrick, for your time and your dedication to this panel. This was an amazing discussion. I hope it inspires our audience as well to find out more about Magma, more about the great work that AWS, Wave Labs, and Redtonics are doing, right, together with Facebook and the Magma Foundation, right? And there are really many innovative things going on in the Magma ecosystem. I mean, we listed a few examples here, and we are all open, I would say, right, to listening from our audience and from our customers whatever else they would like to discuss on Magma. I hope this was useful for everyone as well. And I would like to remind the audience that this recording is going to be available on our website. And there's also going to be links in there where you can get more information or you can get in touch with any of the panelists here. So once more, thank you all for your participation.
Thanks, Michelle, for the amazing panel. Also, thanks to the panelists, Nitz, Kader, and Patrick. It was really great to hear how companies are working on to take Magma to the market. You could hear during the panel that customers want flexibility. And already today, you can take Magma to remote locations. You can also run components in public clouds, such as AWS. The key things to achieve are interoperability, also easy operation and maintenance in order to be able to provide a good infrastructure and flexible infrastructure for use cases in areas of 5G and edge computing. And you could also hear how edge computing is taking the devices and solutions out of the traditional IT data centers and to factory floors, agriculture, remote rural areas. This is all very exciting. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me from the panel was that Magma being open source is key so that it can reach different verticals and it can also reach out to different geographies. So here I would like to just use the opportunity to give you, all of you who are watching live or after the event offline, a call to action, because Magma is an open source community and you can come and get involved, give us feedback, ask questions, and start to contribute code, documentation, or any insights and expertise that you have in this space or requirements. Also, Kader mentioned that there is a 5G meeting and seminar every month on Fridays. You can also come and tune into those or other Magma meetings and events. So please come and participate in the community and work with us.
Yeah, thanks, Ildiko. Now we'd like to welcome Carlos de Nobrega Rodriguez and our second panel, where we'll be discussing some actual commercial deployment activities with Magma, along with partners from Blink, FreedomFi, the Decentralized Wireless Alliance, Bicells, and PalmCell Networks. Carlos.
Today we will talk about Magma in the field, simplifying the network deployment. I'm so excited to be here with this distinguished panel to talk where is Magma in terms of maturity. And what is the best way to do that? Well, having the discussion using real successful examples of implementations. Today we have an extraordinary mix of partners, OEMs, system integrators, and service providers talking about their experience across different use cases, as for example, fixed wireless access and private networks that had been implemented in different markets as well, for example, in the US and South Africa. But before getting into the introduction of the panel, I want to say thank you to the entire audience who is joining us for this great discussion. I would like to introduce our panelists today. The first one will be Andre from Console. Andre.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andre van Zyl. I'm Head of Systems and Networks at Console Networks in South Africa, where I lead the engineering and architecture efforts for LTE and 5G networks.
Thank you, Andre. Byway.
Hey, hello, everyone. This is Byway. I'm the General Manager for Bicells International Business. We are a vendor for 5G and 4G networks.
Thanks, Byway. Boris.
Boris Rensky. I'm CEO at FreedomFi, and FreedomFi, we basically a commercial vendor productizing Magma open source project and supporting customers in the field that are using it.
Thanks, Boris. Patrick.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Boothman. I'm the Vice President of Sales, Marketing, and Business Development for Blink Networks. We're a 4G, 5G vendor selling solutions for private networks and fixed wireless access.
Thanks, Patrick. Scott.
Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Siegel. I'm the head of operations for the Decentralized Wireless Alliance. We're the nonprofit foundation serving the Helium network. Helium uses blockchain technology to create an economic incentive to deploy wireless infrastructure. This began a couple of years ago, building a LoRaWAN network, and now excited to be bringing the same model to cellular coverage and 5G.
Thank you, Scott. Great to have you, all of you here talking about Magma in the field. I'm so excited, but let's kick off the conversation. And all the time, anyone needs to be the first. By the way, you will be the first. I have this question for you. What are the biggest challenges you are facing to convince any service providers to adopt an open source solution such as Magma in a commercial network?
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. I think the keywords I hear here is the commercial network. So when we go to a commercial network, I think the operator is always like focused on the the stability, simplicity, and the operability. I think those are the key points that they wanted to always making sure that it is useful. And we are telling them the experience that we work with Facebook, with Magma, about the experience by sales as vendor we're seeing, and we show the by sales confidence on the customer. And the second point is definitely the cost. I think all the commercial network in return, in the end of the day, we will look at the return of the investment. So that will be also a very important factor. The third one, and I would say the most important one, is a real successful case. So I would invite maybe Andrew, you could also share your experience on a real network. So how we can kind of share that also with other operators.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think from a console perspective, we pride ourselves being on very technology forward, very agile, very DevOps focused. So Magma was a very good fit for us in terms of the philosophy, if you would call it that. And in our engagement with Facebook and with buy sales, we were very comfortable with the level of experience and expertise that was backing us on this venture. And I think our experience in the initial deployment so far has been very good. And we've been very happy with what we're achieving so far.
Good to hear about it. So interesting. Thanks for your feedback, Andrea. And by the way, obviously, we're so excited to hear the opportunities about crypto. And we would love to see how Magma is helping your business in the private networks and 5G deployments in interesting opportunities as crypto with Helium Networks. Can you expand a little bit that, Boris? And also, I would love to get the feedback from Scott as well.
Helium began by deploying this into the LoRaWAN network, and there weren't necessarily the types of dependencies that are required in the same cellular networks. So while we initially stood that up, as Boris from FreedomFi came and looked at how we could actually apply that same model into 5G, we wanted to have the same types of components that align with the vision of open source, permissionless, and not necessarily being gated by single vendors. So Magma really does kind of solve a problem within the scope of what we need to actually deploy out permissionless and open 5G coverage.
The business model, the use case, and pretty much everything that we're doing is something that hasn't really been broadly done before, in that we are trying to deploy one of the largest neutral host networks using mid-frequency and high-frequency bands, which require for the radio deployments to basically, be much more numerous than in normal models and be placed in, every street corner and every coffee shop. So by combining the economic model that Helium has invented on with the already kind of a natural distributed architecture of Magma and our ability to continuously improve and innovate on its architecture and stability, I think that we potentially are going to achieve something that has never been done before in the telecommunications space. And it would not have been possible without something like Magma.
Awesome. Interesting. We are so excited on that. Patrick, you have been deploying really interesting opportunity in the US for private networks, be specific in the vertical, in the educational vertical, no? In your opinion, how Magma is helping in two particular fronts? The first one is closing the learning gaps in the US. And the second thing, how Magma is facilitating the business opportunity on private networks deployments.
Yeah, everybody thinks of, students, whether they're in a rural environment, they may have poor connectivity, and with the pandemic over the last 18 months, that certainly has exacerbated that situation to a large extent. However, it's not just the rural environment that we've discovered through this. We're finding that there are an awful lot of school districts in the US where students, even in an urban environment, in a central downtown core, or the close suburbs of a city, have no local internet access at home. So it doesn't matter if you're a mile from the school or 10 miles from the school, they're having that same challenge. One of the great things about Magma is, one, as a low-cost open source solution, makes it very cost-effective for the public sector to be able to afford. They're typically not the type that are going to spend millions of dollars on your traditional monolithic packet core solutions, such as what you'd get from a large telecom equipment vendor, for example. So that's one part. The other part is the distributed architecture, which Boris referred to earlier, is also an advantage because you're not dealing with a single point of failure within the network. The distributed architecture works well because if there's one incident, it's generally isolated to that particular location and not the entire network, and you're not taking all of your students out. So it's worked really well, and there is a huge opportunity in the education space to pursue this.
We're so excited with this project, Patrick, and thank you so much for the support and pushing for Magma. Well, this is an interesting question for our service providers, Scott and Andre. Basically, from the operation point of view, that in the end of the day is the thing that matters because you need to provide quality to the partners. What is the biggest benefits that you are getting using Magma in your networks? You can be first, Scott.
From the Helium side, thinking about how it works on the blockchain, we started this by deploying it onto a LoRaWAN network where we had all the open source components. We're able to build most of those ourselves. Again, by nature, blockchains are open and permissionless networks. And as we think about moving that same model from LoRaWAN over to 5G, having the ability to have open components, being able to allow for open participation and not be restricted to single providers and single points of centralization, that's incredibly important to us. We think about our mission of really closing the digital divide by using the Helium model on cellular networks, allowing people to participate in the infrastructure. Boris, I don't know if you want to add anything to that from the kind of Freedom 5 perspective.
So one of the biggest problems we need to tackle is how do we actually simplify deployment of a small cell such that anybody, even a person that has never dealt with wireless, can actually go ahead and deploy it. So we've spent a lot of engineering effort to extend Magma, particularly the part of Magma that interacts with the firmware on the small cell, such that the deployment can be done completely zero touch, so that a person gets a small cell, they get a Magma gateway in their house or in their office or whatever, they plug in the small cell into the gateway, and then from there on forward, everything is done completely behind the scenes, including even the CPI certification that is done remotely by us. So from a person's standpoint, they just, they plug in one box into the other box with an Ethernet cable, point at somewhere, and that's about it. And everything else is done through automation, starting from bootstrapping the cell to actually aggregating all of the cells together into a single neutral host network.
I think from our perspective, a number of things that really appeal to us and what we found advantageous is just to sort of echo Boris's sentiment. We did not come from a traditional 3GPP type of environment. So our glide path to deploying an LTE network from a zero base in 3GPP technologies was very smooth. Something else that worked very well for us is that it gave us a lot of agility to design the network how it best fit specific scenarios. So we have certain instances where we run a different cluster of networks depending on the requirement, and Magma allowed us to do that. And I think thirdly, the deployment of Magma against a traditional EPC stack from a traditional vendor gave us a very aggressive price advantage in being able to deploy lowest cost services into an environment that has traditionally been a very expensive place to buy data in Southern Africa. So we've gained significant advantage there, being able to reach more people at very competitive price points.
Thanks for sharing this. By the way, I have a question for you. Obviously, the support, that is something that is really important for the final customers. I want to make you a question. What do you think that is the main ask from the customers in terms of support and operational requirements?
I think from our end, what we want to, by sales is always trying to deliver some simple solution to our customers. So we do a lot of remote support, like what we are doing today for our over 600 ISP customers in the world. We're using only like 20 people to support others. So that's the spirit that BySales is trying to do. Also same as the Magma. Regarding the main ask, actually, I would also like to relay that question to Andre.
I think our experience was that it wasn't a significant hurdle or road block to actually get going, and BySales was very instrumental in getting us going. And it was great that a hardware vendor could get us onboarded and get us going. And so I think we were happy to get that initial, if you'd call it day zero, day one support from BySales. And in our sort of company culture, we very hands-on. So we are looking to take on that sort of level 1, level 2, level 3 support. And in our discussions with Facebook Connectivity, they have been very willing and very open to initially start that level 4 type support, but then also support us in growing our skill base and our skill set through training and other initiatives, so that we could actually do the end-to-end support ourselves.
Thanks for the feedback, Andre. As you know, obviously Magma is an open source solution. Actually, we're part of the Linux Foundation. What are your thoughts about the process to collect the feature requirements from the customers versus the process to get them from developers community or Facebook?
Open source is all about staying close to the customer deployments, collecting the feedback from the field, and finding a structured and very quick way to channel all of those requirements and improvements back to the open source community. So if the question is, do we lean on the community versus the customer? The answer is we primarily lean on the customer.
Great. Highway, you want to add something here?
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. I think firstly, we share the same view as Boris. So we value the customer requirement a lot. That's how BySales really live in this industry. We still see the customer requirement is the first priority to this. But we do see a very good synergy that the developer community, how do we match those together? So basically, we actually have one idea that we wanted to share. Maybe someday we invite the customer into our community, share ideas, to bridge all the gaps for all the technical questions and requirements. So by doing that, all the features are more clearly injected into the developers, and then the community gets stronger and stronger. So some people are developing while some people are using, and with the agility the Magma open source solution can offer. So we believe that can be a very quick and very good positive circle that we could run the feature requirement collection. So that's something that we're thinking maybe it can somehow improve, further improve the whole feature request procedure.
To kind of build on what Byway and Boris had talked about, I think one of the big advantages, from this being an open source platform is, we, like everybody else, we collect feedback from our customers and say, what else do you want to do? Sometimes the customers don't always know what it is that they want. However, the great thing about open source is we can learn from, our own development efforts. So we can add, features and functionality into that and feed that into the community. This whole model, and especially with the Helium piece as well, has opened up a whole new customer base for us as well. We have people coming to us to deploy networks that own, they are interested in the Helium model. And of course, they want to then go deploy literally 1,000 eNode Bs because they want to deploy the Helium model. So they're coming to us and buying 1,000 eNode Bs to deploy, in their convenience stores throughout the US, because, the combination of an open source Magma model and CBRS has really democratized a private network that has never happened before. It was always the domain of the billion-dollar big carriers who effectively ruled the roost through control of spectrum. That control of spectrum and that control of a centralized, packet core solution has really been taken away from them and opened it up so that literally a guy who owns a number of convenience stores can start to build his own wireless network and do something with it.
Great, Patrick. Thanks. Next question actually will be for you, Byway and Patrick, from the OEM side. If you can share with the community how your hardware portfolio products are moving into the way to make and facilitate a easier integration with Magma, with the objectives to reduce the cost of the implementation and also simplify the implementation of the solutions. Can you share with us the experience how your entire hardware portfolio product is moving towards the really close cooperation with Magma as a product? Patrick, you can be first.
Sure. So this is definitely something that's very close to our heart. I mean, one of the things that we're working on is actually potentially integrating the Magma Access Gateway right into the eNode B itself. So the elimination even of the hardware device that would sit at the tower location, and integrating the access gateway right onto the eNode B directly. So one less piece of hardware, one less point of failure on the system itself. So that's one element of it. The flexibility between, Magma solution, it being open source, and again, being relatively small vendors, we have that desire to integrate those two so that, again, we have a fully integrated solution that you can put in front of a customer and says, here, you've got one interface that you need to deal with, and it does everything for you from the start to finish.
Awesome. Byway.
Okay, thank you. I think what Bicell is doing is for three things, from three aspects that we're doing to make the Magma more integrated. First of all, we hired several developers. We try to kind of integrate our OMC and all Bicells related software into the Magma. So that part will be like done in a few months. So with that, all the Bicell software management system will be tightly integrated with Magma. So that's how we put some of our existing solutions tightly integrated. I think the same as what Patrick mentioned, we just wanted to make our customer as simple as possible. So we make everything all pre-configured. It's a plug-and-play experience, and it's all automated. If you want to pin the orchestrator or you connect to the AGW, it's all preset. So once the customer opens the box and they power it on, plug in the Ethernet, and it works. I think that's the fundamental goal that we wanted to achieve with the first step to finish first.
Great. Thanks for your feedback, Patrick and Byway. Andre, Scott, in overall, are you satisfied using Magma in your network? What is the best and what can be improved? Andre, can you be first?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've had a very positive experience so far, and we've been pretty happy with the deployment and what we've seen so far. I think the points that I mentioned before, that we have a dual sort of track here. So we are engaging with traditional vendors in the 5G space around a larger deployment, and so we've become very aware of what that large traditional telco vendor type of pricing and costing is like. And Africa's got a much more rural type of landscape, and sometimes it's simply not possible to have compute infrastructure at the towers. So we deploy slightly larger access gateways, and we're doing a fair bit of work around optimizing and scaling the access gateway throughput, as well as building on hardware that traditionally you mostly would have seen access gateways on a NUC type of ruggedized type of device. But we're moving more into sort of the COTS type servers from OCP, so it'll be on a sled, and building in that space. And then probably another sort of African perspective is that we don't have fully deployed AWS instances in Southern Africa. We have partial services, but we don't have full deployments. So we are doing quite a bit of work around the on-prem installations of the orchestrator, simply because at this stage, our orchestration instances are all sitting on the long end of a transatlantic cable. So we're at 180 to 100 milliseconds away from our network. And so we're doing a fair bit of work around having the orchestrator deployed on our infrastructure in our data centers as well.
Yeah, so I come at this again, sitting on the foundation side of the Helium network. I come at this more from both a governance perspective and how we're engaging our worldwide community on this. And what's been very, very important in Helium is the consumerization of being able to run that infrastructure. And where we started that with LoRaWAN, and where Freedom Fry has really enabled us to be able to do this on cellular networks. Means that having that type of participation, having an open source community that's very, very motivated and excited, and being able to contribute to different parts of the ecosystem, not just from the Helium side, but obviously also in the Magna perspective, it's incredibly important. The other piece that I can't remember who spoke to it earlier, but the economic viability as well, and thinking about again where Helium is enabling that type of pay-as-you-go access on an order of magnitude cheaper than traditional carriers. Magma really helps us continue on that path. But as far as utility, we've already had one network operator signing on. There's already interest from others. So I think that it's certainly serving our purposes thus far, and very excited about the future in terms of where we can take the same momentum in the Helium network, and really looking forward to the large growth on 5G and LTE networks.
Well, we finished all the questions. What a great conversation. I want to say thank you for the all panelists that support us today. Bayway, thank you so much for your support. Boris, Andre, Patrick, Scott, thanks for your time. Thanks for the all people participating in this virtual event. Appreciate your time. If you want to get more information, you can reach us directly. You can get more information also using our Facebook connectivity webpage, and also going through Magma Linux Foundation. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Carlos, thank you for an amazing panel talking about the work that Magma has been doing in actual deployments around the world. It's fabulous to see the end-to-end of how Magma has been deployed with radio manufacturer partners, partners who are integrating and deploying the product to actual networks, and really, really novel deployments that you see with what's happening in Southern Africa and the Decentralized Wireless Alliance, and how this notion of Helium coin has been propelling deployments of connectivity using Magma in really, really creative ways. There's a recognition, I think, that connectivity is necessary in undeveloped places and in rural networks worldwide, both in developing nations and in developed nations like Western Europe and the United States, with infill gaps in rural areas, and even infill gaps that we talked about today in schools and locations where you need that connectivity, but for various reasons, they're economically not viable or just underserved communities that products like Magma can bring connectivity to bear in those areas. So, Carlos, fabulous session, powerful group of speakers that you've brought together, and we really, really appreciate hearing from you.
Thanks, Phil. And with that, it concludes our first segment for today. And now it is so exciting because we arrived to the bit more interactive part of the event where you can meet experts from the Magma community. So we have two parallel tracks for you to go into details about Magma. With track one, it will be facilitated by Arun Tulashi, and it will go into details about Magma more from the software perspective. And the session will touch on private network deployments. While in track two, it will be led by Shubham Tatwamasi, and he will be talking about open source and Magma as an open source community, why you should get involved, and how you can do that. Phil will join the track one breakout session with you, and I will be with you and Shubham in track two. I only have now the duty to remind you that these will be interactive sessions. So I would like to encourage all of you who got the chance to join us live to participate and get involved, ask questions, or share your comments, expertise, and feedback during these sessions. And the last action that I need to remind you to take in order to be able to join is please click the buttons for the breakout room that you would like to join and for the breakout session that you would like to attend. They are supposed to be somewhere below me on your screen. Thank you all for attending the first segment. I hope you're really enjoying the event so far, and see you in the breakout rooms.